Nahmaduhu nusalli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. So here in this today we're going to cover about Suratul Baqarah ends. In Surah Baqarah and Ayatul Kursi, the ayah number 255. It gives us beautiful description of Allah's attribute and we should memorize it. You already knew that Suratul Baqarah ayah number 255. Ayatul Kursi, the greatest ayah in the Quran, and you know already. So I don't think I need to tell that. And Allah tells us about infaq, spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also interest. Riba is forbidden, and we are told how to write the business contract also. These are the things we're going to learn. And in Suratul Al Imran, just now I told you that dua is mentioned. Surah Al Imran is surah number 3, ayah number 8. Rabbana la tuzi qulubana. So let me open this. We can open in the Quran, inshallah. We can open in quranwbw.com. It's easy to open, So whatever the surah name is, we can, with the slash, you can give that surah name. It will appear. But here it's easy. So surah number 3, ayah number 8. Let me open it. You can see this dua. You can easily memorize it from here. Do you see this? Rabbana la tuzi qulubana ba'da iz hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahma innaka antal wahhab. And this is the meaning of the surah. Rabbana la tuzi qulubana ba'da iz hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahma innaka antal wahhab. Our Lord, let not our hearts deviate from the truth after you have guided us and bestowed upon us mercy from your grace. Verily, you are giver of bounties without measure. So we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the bounty, for the guidance, and for the endless bounties. Yani. And then the story of Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam and Maryam alayhi salam in Suratul Al Imran. Okay. This surah is named after the family of Imran. Who is Imran? The father of Maryam. Yes. Who was mother of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. So Maryam was the mother of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. She belonged to the Bani Israel nation. Maryam's father was Imran. Her mother was Hannah. Had made a very sincere dua to Allah that when she is blessed with a baby, she would offer that child to the temple where she would worship and serve only Allah. Who? The mother of Maryam alayhi salam made that dua. But what happened? She was thinking it's going to be a baby boy. But it wasn't a baby boy. It was a baby girl. So her dua was accepted and she gave birth to a baby. When she had made the dua, she had in mind a baby boy. She thought it's going to be a baby boy, but it was a baby girl. But do you think she changed her mind or so? No, she didn't. Even though, it was a challenge, though, just understand the scenario were different, the things were different. Still, she didn't give up. She thought, no, I want to do it. When person decide to do good, then no matter what, they will still do it. However, Allah blessed her with a baby girl, and she named her Maryam and asked Allah to protect the girl and her children and her generation from Shaitan, the rejected one. Just as she had promised, Maryam's mother sent her to the temple to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at the temple, Maryam alayhi salam used to pray all by herself in a special room, which was dedicated only to her. No one could enter it except her guardian, and her guardian name is Zakaria alayhi salam. And there's one more thing. Zakaria alayhi salam, his uncle, her uncle, and Zakaria alayhi salam don't have his, own children. He don't have any child, Zakaria alayhi salam. And Maryam alayhi salam, she was in the Hekel just for the prayer, and Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam was the uncle of Maryam, and he used to take care of Maryam, who later became the mother of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. That was a miracle. So Zakaria alayhi salam was a very righteous person, and he used to guide and teach the people of Bani Israel. So whenever Zakaria al-Islam visited Maryam al-Islam, he would found fresh fruits in her room. He was very surprised because it was not only just fresh fruits, it was not even sometimes that is out of season. Some fruits, right now, if it is summer in US, we would get the cherries and mangoes, right? Out of season we can't, but if we get also, that will be sour or frozen. But he would found some fruits that is out of season also, and he was very surprised, and no one else was allowed to visit her except him. He asked her where the fruits came from. She replied that they were sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Zakaria was very, very old, in his 90s, Allah Allah, and he and his wife were not blessed with the children. He really wanted. Yeah, yes, you're right. So, who would grow up to guide and lead the people of Bani Israel on the path of obedience to Allah after the death of Zakaria al Islam? Why he want a child? Just to, convey the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He don't want, like, I have so much money, or not that thing. Okay. Zakaria al Islam had no children, and he thought if Maryam al Islam can receive fruits from Allah, surely Allah can bless him with a child, even though he's very old. And so there and then he made dua. This is in Suratul Maryam, ayah number 4. Let me take out. The way he asked, look at him, how much he has complete yaqeen, conviction on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how Allah wants. Allah loves if you completely trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah loves that. Zikru rahmati rabbika abdahu Zakaria. Is nada rabbahu biduai khafiya. So who is making this dua? Zakaria al-Islam is making dua. This is in Suratul Maryam. And what he is saying? Qala rabbi inni wahnal azmu minni washta'ala rasu shayba walam akum biduai rabbi shaqiya. What Zakaria al-Islam is saying? My Lord, indeed my bones have grown feeble and grey hair has spread on my head. I have never been unable in my invocation to you, O my Lord. Yani Shakiya is like, he is never despair. Even though he is very old, he don't have children, but he is telling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, you can give me. I am not despair. So he is asking, he is begging Allah. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like, even though you don't have anything, but when you beg Allah, you ask Allah, Allah will give you. So that's the thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like it. Allah heard his sincere dua, and angels came and gave him good news of very special son. They said that child name will be Yahya, as you told me. You already knew the name of the child. And Allah says in the Quran, again, same, Suratul Ali Imran, Surah number 3, ayah number 39. Allah says in the Quran, while he was standing in the prayer in chamber, the angels called. Until him, Allah gave glad tidings of Yahya, witnessing the truth of word from Allah, and noble, chaste, and prophet of goodly company of the righteous. So this is mentioned in Ali Imran, Surah number 3, ayah number 39. And what else is mentioned? Zakaria al-Islam asked for a sign that he will be blessed with a son, because he was so excited. He was looking forward to have a child. So he was told that he will not speak, even though he's fine, but he gonna be mute that moment of time. So to anyone for 3 nights, this is the sign. He will not speak to anyone, even though he wants to, except through making gestures or signs. So he continued to make dua and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a good and righteous child. So Maryam al-Islam, in Surah Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah had given Yahya with the wisdom and complete understanding of the Torah while he was still a child. Scholar says that he was not like ordinary child. He was not interested in games. He didn't play. Some scholars says that he was a prophet. He was a made prophet. He was still a child. He was a good leader with a great knowledge and wisdom. Allah had made him very kind, gentle, pure. He was extremely righteous. Who? Yahya al-Islam, which they call it John, I think. and was very respectful and obedient to his parents. So we see that Allah, through His mercy, gave Zakaria alayhi salam good son, fulfilling his dua for a son who would be good leader and a teacher of Bani Israel. What we learn from this, Allah is all powerful. He can give us anything He think is good for us. We must always make dua to Allah for anything we want, big and small. We should take care of our relatives. We should respect and obey our parents. In the next class, we'll continue about what I mentioned about Ayatul Kursi, some of the importance of that, and not only that, there is a ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about interest, not to eat interest, and also when you do any business dealing, Allah says it's better you write it down, because that's the part of the sunnah. If you don't write it down, how come you will know what transaction you did it? Okay, today we're going to learn one more story. Khalifa heckles people to jihad. Jihad means going in the way of Allah. During the Khalifa of Usman radiallahu anhu, the Muslims were engaged in a serious war with the Byzantine Empire. Before Salatul Jummah, Usman went up to the member to give the khutbah. Where the Imam stands, that is called member. O believers, as you know, we are at war with the mighty Byzantine Empire, and I want to share one hadith with you that I have never mentioned before. I did not mention it because of you had heard it. You would have left my company. The crowd listened carefully, for this was a hadith had never been heard before. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had once said, "Continue, Khalifa Usman, that anyone who spends one night in the way of Allah is it as if he prayed the Salatul Tahajjud for 1,000 nights and fasted for 1,000 days." Yani, this means Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Khalifa Usman, that anyone who spends one night in going in the way of Allah, they call it at when you go in the way of Allah, it is called jihad. It is equivalent to what? Praying Salatul Tahajjud. Like before Fajr we do. For it is like a 4,000 nights. That's the reward they are getting. And as if fasted for 1,000 days. Just as Khalifa had predicted, multitudes of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loyal followers rushed forward after prayer to offer their services in the way of Allah against the Byzantine Empire. Why he mentioned this? So that people get motivated and they go in the way of Allah. Because they were hesitant. They were not thinking to go. Okay, one more story and then we'll end. Usman goes to Makkah. After Hijrah to Medina, it was decided that Usman be sent to Makkah to negotiate a treaty with the chiefs of Quraysh. Usman, you are the only person among the Muslims whom the kuffar still holds in esteem. So I will send you to deal with them, said Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of the Sahaba among the Muhajirin wished they could have gone in his place. So because Usman would be able to see his old home and the Kaaba, the very house of Allah, immigrants miss their homeland a great deal. Because they migrated, now they are getting opportunity to go back to Makkah. So Usman mounted his horse and took off on 2-week journey from Medina to Makkah. Just imagine, they don't have just like now we have big cars or flights. No, they have to go either on horse or camels, from one place to another. So he's gonna go from Medina to Makkah. How long that journey will be? 2 weeks. And he has honored that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had chosen him for such an important mission, and happy that he would soon see his hometown again, yani Makkah. When he arrived Makkah, one of the disbelievers, Abu Sa'id, welcomed him. Usman, son of Affan, even now, despite our differences, I hold you with the greatest of admiration, for you are a noble son of a noble and powerful man. While you are here in Makkah, you are under my protection. You are free to go anywhere you wish without being afraid. Thank you very much, Abu Sa'id replied. Usman, may Allah guide you to the truth for your kind hospitality. So Usman spent weeks in talks with the chief of the Quraysh. After reaching an agreement that was mutually satisfactory, he prepared to return to Medina. to report the situation to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he came here, he took like what are the things he has to do. Now he's thinking to go back and report what all the things happened here. As he did his horse for the return trip, the chief of the Makkah gathered to see him off. One of them said, Usman, before you go, why don't you go to Kaaba and make tawaf? You have been to see it many times while you have been here, but not once had you made the tawaf. So they said, why don't you go to the Kaaba and do the tawaf? Tawaf, 7 circles they do around the Kaabatullah. You just can't understand the love that we Muslims have our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How can you expect me to make tawaf around the Kaaba when you prevent the one I love the most from coming here to do so? Rebuked Usman. You understand? He's saying, when you are not allowing Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and you are saying to me to make the tawaf, you understand? He went there, he talked to them. They are exclusively asking him, oh, you just do the tawaf and go. So he's saying, how come you're not allowing beloved Prophet and you're asking me to do? So they reply, greatly anger the kuffar. So, for they had always hoped that one day Usman might return to the old ways. You understand? He was a convert. So what they are thinking, this way they can make him revert again to the disbelieving thing. So some of them wanted to kill him for his response because he got very angry and upset. He behaved in a manner because he loved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We all love Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So while others were ready to beat him, but Abu Sa'id managed to calm the crowd down. The more wicked of the chiefs demanded he is not be allowed to leave the city. So Usman was forced to stay in Makkah for several more weeks. Because you understand, when he said that, they got so much angry, they make him stay for few more weeks. And eventually, Usman was allowed to return to his Muslim community in Medina. So everyone, especially Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, was overjoyed to see him, and especially since there had been many rumors that he had been killed by the Quraysh. So see the firm determination of the Usman. They thought he will go back to the disbelieving again because he was not a believer before. He converted. So they were thinking, okay, again they can trick him. First what they said, okay, why don't you do the tawaf? So he replied in anger, oh, you're not allowing Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How can I do it? It's natural thing, right? But they didn't like it because he answered them back. And so they held them there for weeks. And there were rumors like Usman was killed or something like that. But when he came back, everybody was happy, especially Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So, for believing and believing in oneness of Allah is very important. The oneness of Allah will take you to Jannah. If you don't believe in oneness,